Okay, we are recording. So my name is Sarah McKinney. Welcome. I am a Newforma training consultant. Just a little bit of background about me is I started working with Newforma when I was working for an architectural engineering and design firm. They had about 1,200 employees across the globe, and I quickly became their Newforma trainer. So I was an in-house trainer as I learned Newforma and taught Newforma. Because of my experience in construction and in the industry, I realized very fast that this was unrivaled and actually one of the coolest project management programs I have ever used. And I've used plenty. I've worked in many different offices, and I've also had to learn how to use things like Procore, Prolog, Submittal Exchange, Owner Insight. You name it, I've probably messed around in it if it's a construction project management type program. So I fell in love with Newforma, and when I left my company, I then begged Newforma to please let me work for them and show others how to use Newforma. And that is really why I'm here today. I really love Newforma. I was a user just like you. I was sitting in the same seat that you're sitting in several years ago, wondering why Newforma and what's so great and different about it. So hopefully I can leave you today with some great tips and some hints as to why Newforma is superior, and we will get going. So today we're going to talk about the basics of Newforma Project Center, and I have a very quick PowerPoint presentation to show you, and then we will go into my training environment where I can show off some of the cool features of Newforma. So again, we're going to talk about some of the whys. So I'm just going to skip over that sheet. But in general, Newforma is going to help you find your project information faster because it's this big indexing search engine that's going to go through your drawing files, your PDFs, and emails associated with the project and allow you to word search those files and find your information faster. It's also going to bring all of that information about the project into one place so that you can find tasks that have been assigned to people, track those tasks, find files that have been sent to someone, and see if they were actually downloaded. So it's really going to increase transparency and accountability for your projects. Also, in the end, it's going to integrate your data, whether it's your drawing files, PDFs, Excel files, Word documents, whatever that is, plus your tasks associated with your project like action items, RFIs, submittals. It's going to bring all of that information into one place so the entire project team can see that same information from the same place. So essentially, that's how it works. You have your project management items, which are your submittals and your field reports, maybe your change orders. You also have your information management, which would be like your Revit files, your Word docs, your specs, maybe your plans. We're going to pull all that information together so you can see it all and search it all from one interface. So you're not having to go into multiple different types of programs to find your information. And we are going to bring all of that information again in the same place so you're all looking in the same place for the same information. So today we're going to talk about getting started in Newforma, the power of searching in Newforma, which is super exciting. This is the one part of this training that I think is like our mic drop, I always say, the power of Newforma search. And we also have marking things up using Newforma and filing and finding project email. So let's get out of this PowerPoint and actually see what we can do. So the very, very first time you open Newforma, this is the first time you open Newforma only, not tomorrow morning when you come in the office, just this one time. Or if you get a new machine, like a new laptop or a new computer, we need you to make sure that you open Newforma before you open any Windows-based program, meaning don't open Excel, don't open Outlook, just leave it all closed. So just open Newforma first. The reason why is we have an Outlook add-in. When I say Windows, I meant Microsoft, sorry. We have an Outlook add-in that will populate if you keep your Outlook closed. But we've also noticed that people have issues if they open up Excel. It just kind of has a funny software glitch there. So we need you to keep Outlook closed this first time. okay? Now, anybody who is brought to Newforma, as soon as you open Newforma, you get to a screen that looks just like this. This is called your Project Center, My Project Center. So if I ever navigate away from this screen and I want to get back to it, I can just click on the guy with the filing cabinet behind his head. That's to return to My Project Center. And of course, when you first open it, you're not going to have anything listed here under My Projects. You will need to add your projects to your list of My Projects. There's a reason why. You don't necessarily want to go through all of your company's projects to find the project that you're looking for. When you add a project to your My Projects, it creates a shortcut for you so that you can see the projects that you want to see and no one else's. So you'll have a list here of all the projects that you would like to see when you open Newforma. It creates a shortcut up here in this drop-down box of those projects that you want to go to quicker. And it also will create the ability for you to file emails using the Outlook add-in under those projects. So to get a project added to your My Project screen, we're going to first go to All Projects. All Projects is a list of all of the projects that your company has on the InfoExchange server. So as you can see, we only have 41 projects in my training environment, but you could get thousands of projects by the time that you're done with this year even. You could have some past projects, current projects, and future projects here, and you'll have to go through this list to find them every single time. So it's important that you add the projects that you want to your list of My Projects. So the way to do that is you can search projects here on the right-hand side for the project that you want to add to your My Projects. You can just start typing anything that you know about that project. If you know the name of it, maybe a company role or something like that, you can start typing that here. Another thing you can do is use this table. Anytime you see a gray table like this in Newforma, you're able to edit it so that you're seeing the information that you want to see. So again, what I did just now is I right-clicked on this gray area. It doesn't matter which one I click on. And I have a list of all of the different items I can filter by. Maybe I don't need to see some of these items, so I can just remove them. But maybe I really want to see this and this. So now I have those items here to search by. I can also move them around. If I like to have the city with the address, I can move these here. And I can save my column settings. By right-clicking and going all the way down here, I can save those column settings so that if I ever deviate from this norm, I can go back and load that column setting. So when I click on Save, I can type in default. I think I already have a default, so I'm going to go ahead and get out. And then when I go back, I can load my default column setting. Okay, and you can do this anytime you see a table. And you can also load multiple column settings as well. So I know that all of my projects in the project name has the number 24 in the project name. And maybe I have another list and there's still 25 projects and I don't want to search through them. I can start filtering by the project number. I can come over here and filter by the city, if I know the city, to find the project that I want to add to my projects. And then I'm going to click on the project I want to add, which will highlight it in green. And simply, I can click on Add to My Projects in the taskbar on the left, or right-click and click on Add to My Projects. Some people are right-clickers. That's me. I'm a right-clicker. But if you prefer looking to the left, you can do it here too. So it's the same thing. The same list will pop up. So I'm going to add this project to my projects. Now, if you notice, it said adding a project folder or an email folder. So here's my projects and here's my Alpengrove. But then I want to show you what it did to Outlook. We're going to open Outlook. Now it's safe, by the way, to open Outlook. And we have this Newforma add-in, should have been populated, as well as over here under Newforma items to file, we now have that My Project folder. So this is my Alpengrove Science Center project folder so that I can file emails to it. And I'll show you how to file emails in a minute, but I just wanted you to see what it does to Outlook. Now, another shortcut that I want to show you, because especially in the beginning, when you first start using Newforma, you're probably going to have more than 1 or 2 projects that you want to add to your My Projects. So in order to add multiple projects at one time to your My Projects and not have to go and find one at a time, right-click, add, one at a time, right-click, add, we're going to go to the guy with the gears behind his head. This is your preferences. And you'll click on My Projects. Down here at the bottom, we have Add. So we'll click there. And then we will select from a list of the projects which project we want to add to our My Projects. So again, I know that My Projects have 24 in the name, and I can select that box. Maybe somebody made a mistake and didn't put 24 there, so I can pick this one too. But clearing these filters will not clear my selection. So if we scroll down, you'll be able to see that my previous selection is still selected. And I can do this for as many projects as I need and continue until I have all the projects on my list that I want. And I'll just click on OK. And here they are. Now, another thing that I can do is come into the same area when maybe a project is put on hold. And I don't want to have that project in my Projects. I just want to not see it for now. I can move it over. And then when the project is complete, I can remove it completely from My Projects. Okay. Saving changes will save those changes. It will update your email folders. It will update your My Project list. And there it is. Another thing that we can do from our My Project list is change the order in which we're viewing those projects. So if you notice, I just dragged these around. So now it has moved them into the order. See how it says 2 and 1? I can move it like this and make it go 1, 2. Come on. And so there's One Oak and Alpengrove in the order I wanted it in. Okay. Now to open a project, we can either, of course, you can see Open in Tasks, right-click and open, or I can just double-click on it. This is going to take me to the project home screen. If at any time I get away from the project home screen, but I want to get back to the home screen, I just click on the home button. This is our project home page. It will take us back to whatever project is listed here in this table. I can also navigate to my other projects by clicking on this, and now I can go to One Oak Street if I want, and then it shows recent projects. Maybe you were in a project recently, but it's not a list of your My Projects or in that list. You can go to one of those as well. And then here is a place to clear those recent projects. Okay, so today we're going to talk about project files, project email, Newforma viewer, and markup sessions. We do have another training tomorrow where we're going to get into info exchange and a little more into project files. But today I just want to show you some of the basics and how you can get started. So the first place I'm going to take you is to our project email. We're talking a lot about Outlook and how you can file emails into the project. So I just want to show you around this activity center. So here we have your project email. That's how we know we're here. It says project email. We can also get to it using the shortcut icon. But we have these Duplo people, and you're going to see these Duplo people across Project Center. Anytime you see 3 of them, you're looking at all of the information for the project. So this would be all of the emails that are filed to this project. If I click on those Duplo people and it turns into 1, now I'm only going to see my email, my information. I can also click on this list and it will show me more. So I can see my recent messages. Newforma will populate the first 1,000 messages. I can see my recent messages to and from me, and then here this My Messages would be all. So say there's more than 1,000 and I wanted to see the rest, I would just click on My Messages. So at any time if you get into Newforma and you realize you're not seeing all of the information you think that should be there, check for this Duplo person. If it's just 1, then click on it and it will turn it into the whole team. So here again, we have recent messages. Since there's only 315 filed to this project, we don't have more than 1,000, so it's not going to say anything here. But if it was 1,002 messages, we would see the most recent 1,000, and then all messages would say 1,002.
Hey, Sarah.
Yes.
Can you make your screen just a little bit bigger? Is it possible to like maybe maximize or enlarge the Newforma screen? Maybe zoom in a little bit?
I am as max as I can get.
Let's try that.
Oh, there we go.
We did it. Never mind. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Okay, so getting into this again, my recent messages or all recent messages, right, or all messages. This is a list of all of the messages that were filed to the project, and this can get a little cumbersome. How do I even filter? How do I begin to filter through these messages? So of course, here we have this table again. So you can move the table around, you can save your column settings, you can move these items around too. You can sort by any of these items. So if you just want to see maybe messages sent to a particular person, you could type their name in here. You could filter all the columns by a specific thing. But the coolest part about Newforma is we have the ability to search these contents. So remember when I told you we're this big indexing search engine? Well, that's what we're doing. So when you file an email, it's going to get indexed through Newforma. We also have the ability, we have an OCR ability, so we can read text in a PDF, and we can also read other items. And I can't wait to show you more about that here in a second. But right now we're just going to search project email. So say I'm looking for an email that was sent to anybody on the project team. I have no idea who it was sent to. I'm not really sure when, but I know that it contains a word doors. And you're going to see me often using the word doors. I think every project has a door in it, so it's a little easier to use that for an example. So up here in the top, in this search bar, I'm going to type the word doors. Now I have a few options using this magnifying glass. The drop down says I can either search the current project for that word, I can search project email, my projects, archived and offline projects, or selected projects. What that means is I can select projects to search for the word doors, and it's not just this project, but I can say I want it to search this project and all of these others, whichever I select. So I can search my whole list of all of my projects that I have for that word doors and find the emails associated with it. So I'm just going to search email. So I'm going to click on project email. And now Newforma has brought to me a list of emails that contain the word doors. This was fast. It found 5. Can you do that in Windows Explorer? No, you can't. It would take you forever to find an email in Windows Explorer that contained the word doors. So this was super quick. Obviously, this probably saved us at least an hour. So I'm going to just select this email and show you a little bit about it. What Newforma has done here, when I select an email and look in the preview, is it will highlight where it found the word doors. So do you actually physically see the word doors here? I don't. We have a bunch of numbers and letters, but Newforma said it's in this PDF. So I'm going to double click on this PDF. And it's going to open in Newforma Viewer. Now, really quick, what Newforma Viewer is it's something that we created when we realized that a lot of our customers can't afford things like Bluebeam or Adobe to mark their documents up. So we wanted to create a markup or a way for our users to mark things up. But as we continued along, we realized we can actually make this a lot more powerful than just somewhere you can mark something up. So this is where we can go to view any type of documents and see the results of our search. So you don't necessarily have to use Newforma Viewer to mark items up, but if you're searching for something, Newforma Viewer is really helpful. So as you notice, when I first opened this PDF, it showed me in the Drawing Explorer this search term doors, and then it showed me where it found doors in this PDF. So by clicking on it, it will take me to the page and zoom in on where it saw doors. Can you do that in Windows Explorer? No, you cannot. This is cooler than Google. So now I'm just going to get out of here because I want to show you how to get emails in here, and we're going to talk more about search later, and hopefully I'm going to blow your mind away. But essentially, whenever you search for something, Newforma will highlight where it found that information. Clearly it says door, but it also found the word doors inside that submittal, or that document, should I say. So you can go through and see wherever Newforma highlights, it found the word door. It will also highlight the email itself. So if I were to go back here and just click on door, if it's inside the email itself, like this, it will highlight it there too. So it's a lot easier for you to find information when you're looking for a term like that. You just type your term in. So I did have somebody ask me a tricky question the other day, and I was like, wow, you're really smart. They wanted to know, could I search for a type of document like a PDF or just a DWG? What if I don't know anything about the file? I just know that it's a PDF, but I don't know what's in it. I'm just looking for the most recently modified PDF. And you can do that too. So you can just search for .pdf. So there's lots of different ways you can use this search function, and we'll talk about those here in a little while. So now that we've learned about the email activity center, how do the emails get here? So we're going to go into Outlook, and I'm going to show you some of the ways that you can use to file emails. There's a couple of ways, and the first one is the most popular, but it's not necessarily the best. The best way to file emails is the only way that you will actually do it, right? So if you like this way that I'm about to show you, do it that way. But if you like a different way, then do it that way. So just get your emails filed is really the main point. Once you file your emails, they're searchable, they're amazing. It'll help your project team, and we can index those, and you'll be able to find them later. So again, the most popular way to file an email is a drag and drop. You just take this email and drop it. So here's that Newforma items to file folder, and there it is in this folder. So what happens next? Your server has a script that runs on all day long, and it's specifically for filing emails. It starts alphabetically using your email address. So it'll start with A, and it'll move all the way down the alphabet, and it'll do it again. So it runs 24 hours a day, depending on the number of employees and the number of emails. You could have your emails filed multiple times in a day. So what happens is Newforma, that script will go through and it will look through your Newforma items to file folders and see if there's anything inside. And then it will file those. So essentially what it does is it'll take the email, make a copy, put the copy on the server, and then take your actual email and put it in your deleted items folder. It will also tag it with filed by Newforma, right here, filed by Newforma. So then you know that that deleted item has been filed. So most people go, okay, wait, what if I want to file it, but I don't want it deleted? I don't really want to move it from my typical filing system. I had a guy the other day, his filing system was actually impressive. I don't know how he keeps track, but he had a list under his inbox of all of the projects. And then inside the projects, he had a list of the different disciplines, and even had a folder for the personal emails that he sent back and forth to people. So just the ones that's like, hey, I'm going to the basketball game on Friday, want to come? Those kinds of emails he kept. And he's like, I've been doing this for 50 years. I'm not doing this any differently now. So you don't have to change the way that you organize your email. It's kind of like that messy room thing when you're a teenager and your mom tells you to clean your room and then you can't find anything. It's the same idea here. You can leave your inbox the way you leave your inbox. You can file your emails the way you file your emails, organize them how you want to organize them, and still get them into Newforma. So the way to do it is wherever you are, if you're over here in these special folders that you created, maybe you have, like I do up here, this project emails folder, you can do it here. It's wherever you want, wherever that email is. Even if it's in your deleted items, you can still file it. So you just highlight the email. I actually want to pick a different email. Let me see if I can get a better one. I want one with an attachment. No, that one's already filed. I'm going to send one. I'm going to send one to myself real quick. Sorry. We'll just forward this one to him. Okay. So I just forwarded an email to this guy. I'm logged in as a guy named Adam Close, by the way. It's kind of funny. All right. So say I wanted to keep this email as unread. Maybe I wanted to read it, but I don't want to delete it. I'm not ready to get rid of this email. I need to reply to it later or something. So I have this email here. I can open it up, do what I need to do, and then I have the ability to file it. So see this add-in? It's two parts. The top half is gray, the bottom half is gray. So we're going to click on the top half. We'll have more training on the bottom half later, okay? Not today, but a different day. Hang on a sec. Oh, I did it now. This has a code on it, so Newforma knew where to file it. Darn it. I'll do another one. I'm sorry, you guys. So what you just learned is Newforma attaches a code to email sent by Newforma. So this email actually originated from Newforma. It attaches this little code here that tells Newforma that it's related to a particular project. So each project gets assigned a code. And anytime you see this little code, you can just click on File and it'll file it. You don't have to tell it where. So I just sent another email to this guy that doesn't have that code. And we'll file that one too. Okay. One more time. So we can open this email and we can click on this top half button. And it's going to bring us to this dialog box that says, okay, what project you got to file it in. I can pick from my projects or my recent projects. I can also filter. Maybe my list of my projects is really long and I don't want to go and search for it, so I can start to filter. And I can also click on this ellipsis and it will take me to the list of all of the projects. Maybe it's not on my projects, but I need to file it anyway. And here's that list. I can pick the project and then I can also add it to my projects if I wanted to add it to my projects from here. Of course, I would click on OK, but right now we're going to file it in Alpengrove. Now, the whole reason why we did this attachment is because I want to show you that you can save a copy of those attachments separately. So you don't have to save this email and then go in and remove the attachment or copy the attachment off somewhere else. We can just do it right now. So Newforma will still save your original email with the attachment, but it will also save a copy of those attachments wherever you tell it to. So this also says email messages will not be moved to another email folder after filing. That's a default. And so I'm just going to click on File. And I can pick in my filing system where I want to save that file. So maybe it's a spec, a concrete spec, and I can save it there. I can change the name of it too. So when I save it, Newforma will then file this email, and now I can find it in my email activity center, or just refresh. Here it is. So now it technically is safe for me to delete from my inbox, but I don't have to. It'll sit in my inbox for as long as I'm comfortable, or whatever other folder that I've saved this email in. Additionally, I can file multiple emails at the same time using this top half again. I don't want to file those, but we'll do this one. Same idea. I can save copies of attachments if I need to, and then I click on File. It will then add that tag, and my email is still in my inbox. More than one, File, pick the project, File. Another thing about filing emails is I can file and send my reply. So here's my reply to this email. I can send and file. Okay. So it will file my responses as well. Any questions about filing emails?
I think we're good here.
All right. So back to the email activity center, a few things I wanted to point out. A lot of people say, no, I don't want to file my emails. I'm really scared they're going to go somewhere. Well, I proved to you that you can find them here. They're immediately filed. Here's those emails that we just filed. But also you can do some other things. You can view a conversation string. So we'll click on this one. No, we won't. Pick another one. And it will show us the string, the conversation. I can clear it by clicking on this X here, or of course, clear conversation. I can copy anything to my inbox. So maybe these emails were never sent to me or from me. I never received a copy of it. It has really nothing to do with me, but I can copy that into my inbox. And just click copy to my mailbox. And then over here, what Newforma does is it creates a copied message folder, and you can drag and drop that message into your inbox if you need to, or you can just live in this folder here. You can also double click on any of these emails that will open that in Outlook. You can reply, you can forward, you can file it in another project, just as if it was sent to you. Okay. All right, any questions about the email activity center?
I wanted to ask about if it sounded like you talked about before you could set up like a rule like you do in Outlook, like any project with the subject Austin goes in a certain project folder, or can you do that?
Did you hear the question?
Yeah, you can still set up rules. Yeah, I did. So is that hopefully whoever's on the phone also, everyone, I don't think we have just Josh. Okay, sorry, just Josh. Can you set up rules in Outlook? Yes, you can. So you can set up those rules in Outlook to send those emails to these folders as well. You can still set up those rules to send them to any of the other folders that you've already had them set up to, but you will still need to consciously file your emails somehow. So however you're using Outlook, if you have rules, great. But you'll still need to file those emails.
I think that is not clear. So is there a way that Proforma or Newforma basically automatically files emails for different projects? Because I think this is the entire idea, so that we have less work. So I don't like to spend here hours and hours of identifying emails by hand and drop them in certain project folders. I like to set up a certain rule. If I work with one client and one name on 3 or 4 different projects, there must be a way that a new email comes in, and automatically when we set a rule, it goes into a certain folder. Because otherwise, I think, where's the advantage?
Yeah, so as my example is here, I do have those rules. So we have this project emails folder, and the emails come in and they go into whatever you use for your rules, okay? So all you have to do, now you know they're sorted. It's already sorted by project, so it's not going to take a lot of time for you to go in and multi-select and file those emails in the right project. Because you know all of the emails in that folder are for that project, right? So you just go file, and you can file everything in that folder. So you still set up your rules. You have your project folders on the left-hand side, and then you'll just have to go in there and file those emails. And you can file the whole folder every day. So the next question I know I'm going to get is, what if I file an email 6 times?
Oh, hold on, Sarah. We had a question before you go to there, so go ahead and say
It
it.
goes back to the Newforma screen for the project tasks. There's an email function.
So on your Newforma screen and project tasks, there's an email function, I guess. And
Left bar there.
on the left side, so in the task, there's an email.
So if you're
Yep.
does it make sense to email out of Newforma to your Outlook?
So if you're in a project in this environment, does it make sense to email through Newforma, or, and then will it file it in Newforma at that point? So if you stay in I guess the question is, if you stay in the Newforma environment and you respond to an email or reply to an email, you then don't have to go back to Outlook and file it. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
No?
No, so the way that Newforma works is it's just a window on top of your files that you already have. Okay, so we are seeing inside of your filing system. So the only reason why we have this Outlook add-in is to make email filing easier, but essentially Newforma is taking a copy of your email and putting it into your filing system. Whatever that structure is where your emails are normally filed, that's where we're filing those emails. So we're doing that for you. And then, since it's indexed, we're coming in here going, here's your emails that are filed. We're going to show them to you in a nice way. So you can't actually email or file email or create an email in Newforma. It's all still done through Outlook. So again, when I open this and I reply to this email, I'm still replying in Outlook. I can use this to file my response, of course, but whatever I'm doing, I'm still doing in Outlook. Not doing anything really in Newforma. Newforma is just giving you the information you already have in a prettier way.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay. So another thing I want to point out is this file from items to file folders. Many of you probably have PST files or something similar to what I showed you here. Many emails that you're just going to go and drag and drop into these folders. And what's going to happen is when that script starts running, and say you have 1,500 emails that you need to file, if you're in the office and that script hits your name, it's going to attempt to file that 1,500 emails, which means your Outlook is going to be frozen. And you can't freeze Outlook because you can't open a second instance of Outlook on your desktop. But you can open more than one instance of Newforma. So we have this file from items to file folders button. If you go into Outlook and you drag and drop 1,500 emails or a PST file into one of these folders, the next step should be going straight into Newforma and clicking on File from Items to File Folders right away. It will start pulling all of those emails. It doesn't matter what project you're in. It doesn't matter which project you clicked File from Items to File Folders. It's going to look for any emails under both of these folders, or all 10 or 15 or whatever, and it will start to file those. Now, your Newforma will be frozen while it goes through 1,500 emails, but your Outlook won't be. And then you can open another instance of Newforma to work in while you're letting the other one be frozen. So I can open up more than one Newforma. And here it is. So while this one's busy filing emails, I can work in this one. Outlook is still open for me to use, and my emails are getting filed that way too. So this is really just a hint for when you first get going. So one thing I started to touch on was a question I usually get is, what if I file the same email 6 times on accident? Is it going to get filed 6 times in Newforma? Or what if there's 6 team members on the project team that got that email and we all filed it? Is it going to file 6 of those emails? And that's a logical question, but we're not going to do that. Newforma does not file multiple emails like that. So because we can do the indexing and because we have the OCR capabilities, we're able to read these emails and see identicals. So you file one and your coworker files one in a month. Newforma, when it indexes, is going to go, hey, these two emails are identical. And it's just going to lay them on top of each other. So you'll see one, but on an IT level, we'll be able to dig in and say, oh, 6 people filed this email. And which 6 people? Okay, so you're only going to see one. All right, so now we're going to go back into search. I'm actually going to go to our project files. I'm going to take you from our home screen with project files. And this is, again, a window into the files that you already have on your system. We are not, this isn't a copy. These are your files. Whatever you do in here to these files, you also do to your main folder structure in Windows Explorer. So instead of going through Windows Explorer to view your files, you can go in through the Newforma project. So there's a few things. At first, I want to show you just to illustrate because I think it's a little easier if you see what I'm talking about. This right here is my CAD folder, and say I wanted to rename it Revit. So I'll go to Explorer tasks. So these are the tasks that I'm normally able to do in Explorer, and I'll rename this folder. So I'm going to call it Revit. Okay. Now I'm going to go and select this in file system. So here's my Revit folder now. Same thing. What I did to Newforma, I then did to my actual project folder. I'm going to go back and I'm going to rename this in Windows Explorer CAD. Okay. And now I'm going to refresh Newforma, and now it's CAD. So whatever I do in Windows Explorer, I do in these Newforma files and vice versa, because the Newforma files is just a window. It's a prettier way to present your information. We can do everything that Windows Explorer can do plus. So I'm sure somebody in this room has heard of a drive-by drag and drop. And if you don't know what I mean, that's when you are in your project folders and you're looking for a project. And you're scrolling through this list. Oh, I think the number is this one. I'm not sure. Let me see. No, that's not it. Maybe it's this one. And then, did you see that? I just accidentally dragged and dropped a project folder into the wrong folder. And I don't know where I put it. And now somebody's going to go look for that project folder, and they're going to say, hey, IT team, I can't find this project folder. It used to be there, but it's not there anymore. And it's going to take them hours to hunt it down and figure out what happened and put it back. So you've done that before, or you've been a victim of a drive-by drag and drop before, I'm sure, in your time. You can't do that in Newforma. So when I decide I'm looking for a project, here it is. I'm looking for Alpengrove. It's very clear that this is Alpengrove. I don't have to guess. I know this is it. I open it up. I go to my project files. I'm in Alpengrove here, I'm in Alpengrove here, I'm in Alpengrove here. So I know I'm in Alpengrove. There's no question. So I'm not going to accidentally take this whole folder and drop it into somebody else's folder. I'm also not going to accidentally start working on an Excel file and fill the whole entire thing out and really get all these formulas going, save it, come back to the folder and realize I put it in a different folder, but I don't know what folder I put it in. Right? So now you know this is very beneficial for you to go through Newforma for that reason, as well as many others. So if I right click on any folder, I can click on Explorer Tasks and see all of the items that I could normally do in Windows Explorer. I can copy, I can move, delete, rename, I can create a whole new folder, and the Select in File system will show you where it lives on your actual server. Again, that's here. So there's the path. Okay. I can also copy the path, which is the Windows Explorer path, to the clipboard, and then I can view properties, just like you can in Explorer. But look at all these other things that we can do. We can compare this folder to something else. We can send this through Info Exchange, which I'll show you how to do tomorrow, I think it is. We can email this folder. We can email a file that we right-click on. So if I wanted to send this as an attachment, there it is. And it will also tell the recipient what project I'm sending this attachment to, and it's all right here. I can't do that in Explorer. I can email it, but it's not going to give all that cool information. Okay? And now the final thing that we can do is we can search all of this information. So again, back to our OCR and our indexing capabilities, we can go in here and search our project contents for anything. And of course, you know me, I'm going to search for doors. So this is the coolest part of Newforma. There's a few things that Newforma is extremely useful for, and some of the other things are just freebies. And I think this is one of them, the ability to search your project contents at lightning speed. How many times have you gone, I know I have that document, I can't remember what I named it, I don't know what folder I put it into, but I know that it was talking about door hardware. It was talking about lighting design. Whatever it is that you're searching for, you know that you're searching for something, but you can't really figure it out. And then you go through the Windows Explorer search, you go to lunch, you come back, it's only gone through maybe 1,000 of your 2,000 files, and you still have the rest of the day to wait. So Newforma, doors, we're going to do doors. And I'm going to click over here. I can click on just, if I hit enter, it'll search the current project. But remember, I can search multiple projects. So say I'm looking for just an item that has the word doors in it. I'm not sure what it is yet. So down here, see how it says search is finished? And it found 355 results. Can you do that in Windows Explorer? All right, I see some people over there going, okay, okay. So we have a list now. Are you going to go through all 355 of these results? Probably not. So we can also filter it down. We have this filter by. So right here, we can filter by certain items. Maybe I know it's a PDF, so I can filter by PDF. Maybe I know it's a drawing. I can filter by drawing. So I actually do know it's a drawing, so I'm going to do that. But the way that I want to do it is through this item type. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to pick well, I don't have a DWG file on doors because I need to do door. DWG file. And we're doing filter. So now I'm down, excuse me, from 945 results to 79, and I can start to filter some more. Maybe I know about when this DWG file was last modified. Maybe I know a little bit more about where it's kept, in which folder. So this is the path. Maybe I know it's in the architectural folder. So I can start to filter down a little bit. Maybe I know that it was modified sometime in this month or year. I can also click here and do last year. Okay, so there's so many different ways that I can filter here. Of course, that didn't return anything. No filter. Okay, so I can modify things down so I can find this information faster. But another thing I wanted to show you is super cool. I think it's this file. When I double click on a file that's not a Microsoft file, so it's not email, it's not Excel, it's not Word or whatever, it's going to open that file in Newforma Viewer. So a benefit to this also, if you are using Revit, for example, you know how long it takes for you to open up a Revit model and find a specific sheet, and you can't even search for this kind of thing in Revit. So if you're doing a search and you double click on a Revit file or a DWG file, an AutoCAD file, it will open a Newforma Viewer, so you're not having to take a seat, but, and you know, not literally take a seat, but you're not having to take a seat in AutoCAD or Revit, but you can still view the item quickly to get to what you're trying to get to. And this is not a good example. I'm going to close this because it's not a good example. Open up a different one. So again, here I am in my drawing file, still loading. And Newforma has given me this Drawing Explorer box. Remember, we saw this with the PDF. and it's shown me all of the different places it found that word door. So we have an actual word door over here. We have another one, but check this out. It's actually made this bold. It's red. It's not highlighted in yellow, but it's bold and red. This is a block reference. So it found door in a block reference. Can you do that in Windows Explorer? You can't do that in Revit even. You can't do this in Google. So it's taking me to all of those different places that it found that block reference. That's crazy. So we can search XREFs and referenced items in your drawings. It is insane. We can, of course, search text like you saw before with the PDF. We can search through bodies of emails. If you have it filed in Newforma, we can search it. Somebody asked me the other day, well, what about a scanned file? Well, is it a PDF? Then yes, we have OCR capabilities. Of course, our OCR abilities are only as good as the document itself. So if it's a low quality scan, we're probably going to have troubles identifying all of the words in that PDF, but we'll still be able to find as much as we possibly can. Any questions about Newforma search?
Hold on, we have a question. Go ahead, Sonia.
So what can it search in Revit? Can you find a particular family name?
If it is referenced in your Revit model or your drawing, then yes. It just has to be referenced somewhere. So if you're searching for a family name and it is a part of your drawing, then yes, we can find it.
Thank you.
Of course. And I definitely heard someone say that's cool. This is the time to like just get up and walk away, because that was the coolest thing. This is the coolest thing ever. The people behind this product they're just amazing. We need to teach Google something. Google can't even do this. Windows Explorer, forget about it. There's no way you're ever going to be able to search the contents of PDFs, let alone DWG and Revit files. There's no way you'll be able to do that. So we're really cool, and that was our mic drop right there. It's totally worth filing your stuff through Newforma now because you're able to search it. Real life scenario, the company I used to work for, it was the very first week that I worked there that they had the ribbon cutting for a project that they just completed. It took them several years. It was a judicial building, and not too long after I was there, maybe a month, a couple of weeks, I wasn't there that long. They had an issue and they needed to find where in meeting minutes we had talked about something. So I wasn't really quite sure how to use Newforma, but I went in there anyways. I found the item. It took me a little while because I was brand new, but I was able to find the meeting minutes and solve the issue. It was a pretty big issue. They were threatening litigation. So Newforma's power of searching items not only saved us time, because I didn't have to go through files, physical files, or even open up PDFs and see if the item was in there. I could just search and let Newforma do its thing in 5 seconds or less. So we were able to save time, but we were also just able to save ourselves from litigation because we were right and we had built the building appropriately as discussed.
Sarah, we got a couple more questions here for you. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah.
So a lot of us work remotely with a laptop, and we have to tie back into our server with, I use Sonic Wall, I don't know what the other guys do, but everything is tied in through the Sonic Wall, which runs a little bit slow. So the first part of the question is, how does this Newforma interface work when we're remote? Is Newforma still looking back through that Sonic Wall connection to everything on the server? And then the second part of that, if we try to do a search like that, it's got to be going back through Newforma to the server. Is it going to just crash the system to be able to do such?
Good question. So just as an example, I'm a remote worker in Colorado, and my server is in New Hampshire. And I'm doing all of this using a remote desktop connection right here. So I'm remoting into this demo desktop, which is physically in New Hampshire. But on a daily basis, I still use Newforma as part of my job, not just to show people things, but we use Newforma to send items to people. And I'm also a remote worker working on a remote server, and there is no lag time. So no, it's not going to cut down your speed. Yes, you still have to go through the server because remember, Newforma is a window into your server.
That's
But
remote.
you're not going to notice that it's taking a long time.
But that's remote desktop, so she's, if I understand it right, basically looking at the other computer that's doing all the processing. But with SonicWall, it's not a remote, it's not like I'm tying into
It's more of a VPN.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so that's my other connection. I'm connected through VPN on my, not in my training environment, which of course I can't show you. But here, this is my real working environment, and I'm connected through VPN. And I have to use Newforma on a daily basis through VPN. And my server is in New Hampshire. And there's no problem. It's not a problem.
Okay,
I was
so
similar for the company that I worked for before. I worked from home. I had to remote into various servers as well. Not an issue.
So in this scenario, what you're saying is if Joe was in back east, let's say he's in New Jersey or something like that, he's in a hotel, he fires up his laptop, he would have to connect to the VPN and then fire up Newforma on his laptop, and Newforma would work through the VPN back to our server?
Exactly. And that is the point of Newforma. So you can use it regardless of where you are in the world and still be able to communicate with your project team, find project files. It doesn't matter where you're standing, as long as you can connect to Newforma somehow through your server. It doesn't matter. And that is the point of Newforma. The whole point.
Okay.
So that leads me to another question then. When Newforma makes a copy of something, is it actually making a copy that's saved on our server, or is it just creating a shortcut to that object?
So really, when I tell you it's making a copy of something, it doesn't make a copy of anything besides your email.
Okay.
So the only thing Newforma copies is your email. And you're going to actually see that I'm lying to you tomorrow, but you'll understand what I'm saying tomorrow. So the only thing, the way that you're thinking is it's going to take a copy of your email and place that copy on the server so that you can still have your email. It's going to delete it, of course, and put it in your deleted items to file folders, but it can't take that physical email away from your inbox. So that's why we're making copies of emails. So there really isn't anything copied.
One more quick question. A lot of projects we are doing, they are run in Procore. So what is the user interface here? Newforma Contract Management and Newforma Project Center.
I only got the second half of that question. I'm sorry.
So basically, we have general contractors, they set up their projects in Procore as a construction management.
Yeah.
So there's a user interface between Newforma and Procore. Can you just highlight that? So what is the process?
So two things. We'll talk about the contract management process further down the road. The other thing is we have a Procore connector. It is right now, it is an early adopter phase, which basically means that we have some customers using our Procore connector. It is coming soon to all updates, and we expect it at least by the first quarter of next year. And that Procore connector will connect your Newforma Project Center with the Procore project and make your construction management seamless. Now, there are other ways until then to still do what the GC wants you to do and allow them to use Procore and still use Procore, but you are still tracking your items in Newforma. And again, those are things that I have personally had to do. There was a point where I had more than 15 projects that I was trafficking submittals and RFIs on through Procore and Newforma at the same time. And it is not as difficult as it sounds, but that's something that we will go through in a later training and I promise it's going to be fine. Actually, Newforma is way cooler than Procore, but I can show you how to at least connect those two together.
There will be an automatic user interface coming next year, so this is what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll have a Procore connector coming next year, but right now we have other solutions as well. And if you notice right here, I have this thing that says Procore. I will teach you how to use that. Yours isn't going to have that yet. It's got to be set up by an administrator at your company, and I'm going to show them in a future training how to do that.
Okay, thanks.
Of course.
Sarah, can I ask a question kind of related to the VPN question Joe was asking?
Yeah.
So obviously the Proforma application that people will be running on their machines is a local application, and it's communicating over the VPN back to the Proforma servers at the office. So things like you're saying, like the search, the filtering, all of that will be probably nearly or the same quickness as when you're at the office. I would assume, since the pointers to files, whether they be Revit or DWG or whatever, if those are pointers to the file server, if someone actually tries to locally open a file, I would assume that would be at the mercy of the network and VPN connection. If they try to open a 100 meg DWG file, for example, that is still going to be hindered by the VPN.
That's correct.
But Newforma itself is still going to be responsive and snappy for things like searching and filtering and locating items.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, exactly.
Does that help, Joe, maybe?
Yeah, that answers it.
Yeah, that answers what Joe was asking.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, final thing I'm going to show you is probably something I'm guessing you're not going to use, because I think you guys have Bluebeam. Am I right?
Yeah, that is correct. We all have Bluebeam.
Okay. So essentially, you can also use Newforma Viewer to mark items up like I was showing you before. It's not just to view items, but it originally was intended to help our users who couldn't afford Bluebeam to mark maybe a submittal up or a shop drawing up. I'm going to show you really fast that you can still do that. And some of the reasons why you might want to is maybe you have a drawing and you opened it in Newforma Viewer and you noticed something that was off or wrong that needs to be corrected. And you wanted to redline that drawing really fast and shoot it over to somebody to fix. Maybe it's an intern. So that's a scenario that you might want to use this for. So again, I'm going to go back and just search for a PDF using doors. So I can filter here and call it PDF, and it doesn't matter what I'm opening. I'm just going to do this one. So say I'm in this PDF and I notice, oh no, this is wrong. I need to correct this, whatever that is. I can still mark this up using the markup tool panel. We have the pen tools, and then we have the markup tools. And the rule is to select a pen first and then your tool after that. If you want to edit the pen, you just double click on it and you can change the line weight and all that information here. And then you just pick your markup tool. So just for the sake of time, because I don't believe you guys are going to use this often and just want to show it to you and that it's an option, you just type whatever you need to do here. You can use your cloud. You can put a cloud in. Okay. But then for the sake of the scenario that I just gave you, I just found something really quick that's off. I got to get this out to my intern right now and I want him to fix it. We can send a snapshot of this. So it's going to send it as a PNG file with a link to that source file. So I can send this to anyone I need to. Maybe that's my intern. And this link here, if you notice when I hover, it shows the file. It's going to send a link to the person I send this to where the actual source file is. Now there's a difference between the markup and the source file. So this is something that Newforma does. Remember when I told you earlier that Newforma is a window into all of your files? A markup is the only type of file that Newforma saves and creates that is not tied to your server or your project file. It's just that markup layover or overlay, that Newforma will create. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So I marked this up, but this was the original file that I opened. And I don't necessarily want to save over the original file. I'm just trying to get somebody to pick this red line up really quick. So I can get out of here now that I sent it, and I can also save it as a markup session so I can track it and make sure that my intern actually did pick up this red line. So I'm going to say, yes, I'll save this. This is new. Oh, uh-oh. I picked a terrible file. Eek. It's saying that I looked for that, or that file isn't actually in my project folders, so it wants me to save it somewhere. So I'm just going to save it. This isn't normal, by the way. It's just I'm dealing with some old files here. Okay. So this is saving my markup session. I can change the name of this markup session to something else, markups, whatever. It doesn't matter because I'm not saving the source file. I'm saving the markup. And I'll just click on OK. And now here's our original, here's our original PDF. It's not marked up. I can open that. And I can see that it's not been marked up. And of course, I had to save it somewhere else. And I think it's this one. Hang on, guys. Don't pay attention to what I'm doing. Just trying to find this. Wherever I saved it, because I don't know where I saved it. Okay. So in record copies, transfers. Now my phone is beeping at me. Did you guys lose audio?
No, we're still here. We just have our microphone muted.
Okay, good. My phone is beeping at me as if I lost ya. Well, I can't find where I saved that file. I thought it was this one. Either way, point is, it's not marked up, right? Because we have markups supposed to be here. So I can't find where I saved that file just now. It's saved, our markup session is not saved on your source file. It's saved here in markup session. So this shows that markup file, and it also shows this. I'm just going to open this one, the source file. And the source file, again, here it is. The source file, again, is not touched, but I can go into the Drawings Explorer, which is these binoculars, and I can click on markup sessions and see any related markup sessions. It's saying it was saved with a different number of pages in the background drawing. So it's just letting us know that it's a little different, but still here's our overlay. Here's our markup. I can go in here and change this, I can add to it. I can accept it, reject it, whatever. Okay. And the markup session itself is saved here. It's not saved on the actual PDF. So I can turn the markup into a PDF if I want to, and I can save it as another PDF. I can also track my markups through here by right-clicking. Maybe I know that my intern picked up those red lines, and so I'll just go to status and I'll close this markup session. So I can still track that I had marked up this drawing at some point. And I'm tracking these in Newforma. And then say I was just playing around just like I was, and I can delete that markup session. And here's a list of all the open markup sessions, and you can go in here and see anybody's markup sessions. So maybe I marked something up and I said, hey, can you take a look at it? you can get in here and open it up, and you can add your comments as well. So we can have this markup session, kind of like a Bluebeam Studio session, but we're not touching the original document. We're just creating an overlay, which can be accepted or rejected at any time.
Got a quick question here.
Another real quick one. If you save this markup session and you send it to your intern, that intern presumably has Newforma to see that, or what happens if you send a markup to a consultant outside of the company that does not have Newforma? Does that matter?
It doesn't matter. It's not going to actually link to anything in Newforma. It's linking to your file. So if you were to send that screenshot to someone like I did earlier with the email, it's sent through email as a PNG. So they'll just get a snippet of what you want them to correct or what you're marking up. And then that link won't go, it'll be dead. They won't be able to click on that link because they can't get into your files.
I have a question.
Another question.
So say Joe marks up the PDF and he sends it to me, I'm the intern, and for some reason I decide to move the original document to a different folder. Does Newforma track where that original document?
No. Good question. That was a good question. So Newforma thinks in links. That's how we do everything. It's an address, right? So where your document lives, it's associating this markup session with a document that lives here, not necessarily this particular PDF. It doesn't follow the PDF where it goes. It just knows where that document lives. It's an address. So I can go to Explorer tasks and I can select it in the file system, and it's going to show me what document it's linking to. But if I go and take this document and I can rename it, I'm changing the address now because it's no longer called the A504. Now it's called something else. When I refresh, see how it has a broken link? It's saying we were looking here for the source file, but it's not here anymore. So I can't tell you what it was. I can tell you what it was, but I don't know where it is now because I'm looking through this link. See how it presents a link? And once it got to Alpengrove Dash, it goes, what? This doesn't exist. So we can't find it. We can fix the link and I can say, well, I know I called it something else and I named it whatever I named it. What did I call it? Changed. And it will then relink it to the right PDF because I told it, oh, this is the new address.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
These are good questions. I like these questions.
Would you generally recommend basically working in Newforma anytime you're working with these files, kind of going forward as opposed to working in Explorer to avoid that sort of linkage?
And I would highly recommend, not even generally recommend, highly recommend. But here's the thing. If you move a file in Newforma, you can still potentially break a link because remember, whatever we're doing in Newforma, we're really doing to Windows Explorer. So regardless, if something is linked in Newforma, for example, you send a file out to someone and then Newforma goes, okay, we sent this file through this link, and then you go and move that file. Even if you move it through these files here, Newforma is going to not know what you did. It has no idea that you moved that folder because really this is a window into your files that you have on your server. Just a window. So those broken links can happen regardless. But I still recommend going through Newforma to see your files because of some of those other communication issues of I moved the file into a different folder on accident. Am I actually in this project folder? How many times have we created a document under the wrong project folder and now we don't have a clue where it is? And we just have to hope somebody finds it and and says, hey, is this yours? Because we can't find it. So that's why I say go through Newforma to see your files. Don't go into Windows Explorer. But again, we have no way of preventing broken links if you're moving files around or changing their names after they're linked to something in Newforma. I can move those files around all day long, but once I link them to something like a markup or a submittal or an RFI or a file transfer, if I move them after that, Newforma doesn't know where to link whatever it is that you did. Has no idea.
So it just sounds like there's no way around it as far as certain things, once they're created, they're kind of immutable.
Right.
Or you have to fix it.
Or you fix a broken link. But sometimes you don't know, because you can tie a document to so many different things in Newforma. It could be tied to 50 different items, and you don't know when you move an item or change its name which links you broke.
This may be a bit of a tangent. Is there a way to search for broken links?
No, there isn't.
Okay, just curious. Okay.
Sonia, you had a question?
Is there a way, like say you know you need to change a file name or you need to move it somewhere. Is there a way to note or find out what it's linked to? Then you can go through and repath all those links?
Ah, good question. Yes, there is. So remember we were in that file. I'm just going to pick one, but I can't say for sure that it's going to work. Wow, this is interesting. We have this related items, and this will tell us all of the different items that it relates to. So if I were to get into, I don't know, we're going to go into CAD maybe, architect. So this file is related to this document set, this supplemental instruction, and so on. So it's linked to those items. So I can go in here and I can select it. And I can see under file summary or something, related items, that document was linked in here to this ASI. Might be in the file summary, it could be in the email log, for example. So we can see it that way. It's still going to be really cumbersome. So really what we recommend or suggest is that you just leave files where they are. There's not going to be often or many times where you're going to go, oh darn it, I have to fix this link because I have to change this file name. Because usually you throw a file in a folder and it's probably going to be where it rests. You put a file in a folder and you call it something, and that's what you call it, your naming convention. So you can put a file in a folder, rename it right away, and not worry about anything else after that, because then you can send it, email it, mark it up, do whatever you want to, because you don't necessarily need to go and rename files and move them around. That's kind of another purpose of Newforma. I think what a lot of our clients used to do is they would have like a submittal or an RFI come in. They would probably rename that submittal or RFI, put it in an incoming folder that said something like submittal 081000 door hardware. I told you I like doors. And throw it in that folder. And then you would say, hey guy, you have a submittal in this folder. And then you would probably mark the submittal up, rename it to responded or whatever, and move it into an out folder. You don't have to do that anymore with Newforma. We take care of all of that for you. So you don't have to worry about moving files around like that anymore. And I think that's where some of the fear is coming from. What if I move a file? I move files all the time. But really, if we go back and we say, why do you move files? Right? We can take care of some of those whys. So as you get going and you start using Newforma and filing your emails and going through the project files, write those questions down. Hey, I just moved this file. And then we can talk about it, and I can tell you why maybe you would do that, or maybe it's not really necessary anymore because we have something to help you with that. I promise it gets easier. It's kind of scary right now, but just trust me. Look for some emails, file some emails, look for files. It's going to be okay. It's actually going to be better.
I did have one last question about some of the email stuff, if we have a little time.
Yeah,
I don't know
of
if I
course.
want to hold up everybody, but I was kind of curious. You had mentioned that the emails, like if you guys move it into my projects, right, kind of early in you're talking about moving an email from your inbox into a project. You said that it would kind of delete it from your inbox and put it where it was normally stored.
Yeah, so this way, if I drag it from here and throw it into one of these folders, right? Is that what you mean?
Right. Yes, that exactly. So when you say that, as the person who manages the on-premise Exchange server, I'm wondering where that's going.
Where this email is going to go?
Right. If it's deleting it out of an inbox and then moving it into a project folder, I'm just curious where it's going.
Okay, really, it's going to delete it out of this this particular area and put it into the deleted item. It's going to then take a copy and put it in the project folder. This is why we have these items to file folders over here. Newforma knows that the email folder is here. Okay, it's for Alpengrove. And so when we go here, and this is some stuff I don't expect you guys to remember or understand, but we're talking on an IP level. Back here when we set up a project, we're telling Newforma where to file items. So we have this main project folder, and it says store project email here in this folder.
Okay.
So the script will go through email.
So they're being moved to the file server.
It's being copied, yeah. So a copy is being stored in whatever folder presents here. And then the original email gets deleted and placed in that deleted items folder in that person's Outlook.
So Josh, the way I understand it is it will be on 2 locations until it gets deleted out of the inbox or deleted from their deleted box in their email. And when it gets filed to the project file server inside the project environment. So let's say it's, Livingston's project on the R drive. There's now an email folder under Newforma. All those emails get copied into that project folder in there. And then until it gets deleted from the inbox or deleted files from the Outlook, folder, it lives in 2 locations.
Sure. That makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that we kind of on the back end understood and were prepared for that, whatever that transition of the data was.
Okay.
So here's just an example. If you're ever curious as to where something lives, you can right click on it and click on Explorer Tasks and select it in File System. And we can see that this email was filed to this folder, and here's the path of where that email got filed to. So it was copied and placed here. Now, of course, it is named funny. Newforma names it this way. It creates its own naming convention. But because you're using Newforma, you don't need to know really where this is even housed. But on an IT level, this is where that copy goes. And the original will always live in this person's email until they delete it from their deleted items folder. So you'll have 2, just as you stated. You'll have the person's copy of their email and then this one that's filed.
Makes sense.
Any more questions before I let you have your Thursday afternoon back?
Last question.
Last question. So, but once it's filed with Newforma, you can delete it in Outlook, right? So there's no purpose to have it doubled up. Just
exactly.
You're paranoid. Okay. Good.
Unless you are paranoid, or unless you still need to do something with it, or if you have your own organizational system, I'm not here to move your cheese. I'm just here to get you to file your email.
But we don't up, I guess, right down the road, because we already have issues with server space. Okay.
Yeah, but you can be safe in deleting them. Once it has this filed by Newforma tag, delete it.
All right, thank you. I think we're done here. We don't have any more questions, and we have some people that are kind of chomping at the bit to get back to work. So,
okay, so I need like 2 more seconds.
Okay, perfect.
Really quick, common questions. So anytime you're in Newforma, you click on this common questions link, and it'll show a list of common questions that are asked based on where you are in Newforma. If this isn't one of your common questions, you can click on the question mark in the top right-hand side of the screen. It will take you to our Help Center. Newforma is smart. It knows where you clicked on the question mark, so it's going to take you to the Help Center for that particular activity center you're in. You can also search it. And we have a Learning Center here. So our Learning Center will take you to video tutorials or quick reference guides. Our video tutorials are anywhere from like 4 to 12 minutes long, so you can get quick snippets of information when you need it. You can watch the videos for free at any time from any computer. You don't need to have a Newforma subscription either to watch these videos. So that's always nice. And we also have our quick reference guides here. We also have a customer community where customers just like yourselves go to talk about different issues they may be having or questions they're having, and even solutions to problems that they're having. Our support team regularly participates in the customer community discussions, and that's where we find a lot of our cool ideas like the Procore connector or the Bluebeam connector that we have coming up soon. So please get on the customer community and share your ideas and ask your questions. Now, if through all of these means we still can't respond or answer a question that you're having, please feel free to contact us at support@newforma.com. I'm Sarah McKinney. I'm your trainer. You are more than welcome to copy me on any of those support emails at smckinney@newforma.com. And between support and myself, we will be sure to answer your questions. And I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.